Sunday morning mass feels 100 miles away. Another night on the town, too much to drink. I've got to pray her memory away. It's gonna take some time, 'cause the whiskey isn't working. Gonna take something I haven't tried. The sign of the cross and holy wine. I put money in the plate, but she took my last dime. Your cheating heart keeps playing in my mind. The whiskey isn't working, so it's the sign of the cross and holy wine. I stumbled out the pew at church and into the parking lot, feeling good till I seen the ashtray and the ring I bought. Yeah, she was the girl of my dreams. Turns out her dream wasn't me. Got a mile down the road before I turned around, got back on my knees. The sign of the cross and holy wine. I'd put money in the plate, but she took my last dime. Your cheating heart keeps playing in my mind. The whiskey isn't working, so it's the sign of the cross and holy wine. I was living blind, but now I see. Yeah, he had a plan when she smiled back at me. The sign of the cross and holy wine. He sent me an angel in just the nick of time. Amazing grace keeps playing in my mind. Have faith in the man above. The sign of the cross and holy wine.
Good evening. I'm Tom Lamog, a volunteer instructor with Guitars for Vets Cyber Chapter and with CAVARTS, the Challenge America Veteran Arts Community. And welcome to Songs Sung True, A Veteran's View. Tonight, we are going to feature the original songs and stories of Mr. Joe Allen Christi. Let me bring him up on screen right now. Hey, buddy, how's it going?
Doing great, brother. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You bet. You know, we originally had you on our show. You kind of, filled in the music where Jason Steiner, Mr.
Yeah.
Aerostock president, who we interviewed earlier this year. We were kind of like, well, who can we bring on board to share some of the music? And when you did, oh man, it was really it was so enjoyable. We had to have you.
Thank you.
Had to have you back. And it's really funny. Since then, we crossed paths. We actually ran into each other over at the Aerostock Ashland Festival, and we had a chance to sit down and play music together, which was a real thrill.
Yeah, that was amazing. I love that. That was definitely one of the highlights.
Yeah. But hey, listen, we got a whole hour of nothing but Joe Allen Christi. You've got some songs that you've written over the years, including some new stuff. Is that what I understand? You're going to be sharing some new stuff with us?
Yeah, one song I pretty much finished yesterday. I've been working on it for a while, and I think I got it where I like it. So yeah, I think it's done.
Oh man, that's great. We're going to be talking about your songwriting, and we're going to look at things from the different perspectives and what music does for you. We're going to talk about that. Talk a little bit about your military career with the Air Force, 24 years.
Yep.
Amazing. That's just amazing. And some other things. We have Paul Lilly with us as well too. I just want to say hi to him real quick. Hey, Paul, how's it going? Thanks for joining us this evening.
Great.
Yeah, it's
Thanks.
good to see you. It's always great to have you. Paul's going to be fielding our questions as he usually does, and
Awesome.
he may throw some curveballs at you that it's really, I love having him throw these questions out because I can't think of them, and he's got some really cool questions to ask as well too. So
Oh,
anyway,
the pressure's on.
no, not at all. Not at all. I've seen this man play live before, and I'm so excited to hear about all of the experience. But so come back, Paul. All right, I just wanted to
All
say hi.
right.
It's good to see you, man. Let me start off with the bio that you shared with us.
Sure.
It is on your website. So let's see here. It says Joe is a country singer-songwriter and independent artist from Texas. A 24-year U.S. Air Force veteran, Joe channels his life experiences into songs that resonate with authenticity and heart. His music reflects deep faith, a love for country, and the warmth of family bonds, all woven together through this passion for storytelling. Each song he writes captures a piece of his journey, inviting listeners to share in stories of resilience, devotion, and connection. With a rich, soulful voice and a knack for heartfelt lyrics, Joe continues to make his mark on the country music scene as a genuine voice of experience and integrity. And if that first song that opened up the show is any indication of that, we have things to definitely cover. So let's get right into it. Let's talk
Sure.
about that song. I think when you and I had a conversation about it, you had mentioned to me just how much you enjoy singing that song. It's your song too.
Yep.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's not necessarily a story about me, but you can tell right off the bat that Sunday morning mass. I grew up Catholic, and I like it was an idea I came up with, and I like stories about faith. And it's just about a guy basically who was going through a rough time, and his girl left him. He was about to get married, and instead of drinking, and what he was doing wasn't working, so he decided, hey, maybe I should just go to church.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing more healing than that, especially for me. And yeah, and I like this. I love the how it the story changes.
Mm-hmm.
It's because, and I think what I really like to do is do a video for that, because I don't know if the bridge is clear enough, but basically he's doing that. He's going to church, and then a girl at church smiles at him, and it's happy ever after. So I really love those faith-based kind of songs.
Yeah. Is this your first too? Is this the song that got things started for Joe Allen Christi?
No, actually, it's probably the seventh or eighth song that I wrote, something like that. And yeah, it just flew. Like, I think I wrote it really fast. I think it took me maybe a couple of hours. It was just an idea that I had, and I don't know, it just happened. And then what was funny after that song, I didn't write a song for 6 months because I felt like I had some writer's block.
That one
But
kind of took everything out of you. It's
yeah.
nice. Does it occasionally happen that songs or ideas just come falling out of the sky and they land in your lap? Does that happen to you often, or is that just a one?
No, as I became a songwriter, I kind of realized, whether it be listening to someone's conversation, that they say something that I say, oh, that might be a good title for a song. Your ears, you learn to listen a little bit more than if you're not a songwriter, just because you're always searching for that idea and that inspiration, and that's the kind of stuff that comes to me. I got a book here of like a bunch of just titles and ideas in my phone that hopefully eventually I get to.
That's wonderful. Have you converted over to the digital format yet? Or are you still using a?
I usually write on a Google Doc,
Oh,
you
okay.
know,
You are.
so that's kind of what I do, especially when I co-write. I
Uh-huh.
have a friend of mine. His name is Kenny Curcio. He's out in New Jersey, and we've been writing a lot lately. We've written maybe 3 or 4 songs, and we do it over FaceTime, and it works out great because we can both mess with the document from our computers.
It's really collaborative. Now you don't work IT in the daytime, do you?
Well, actually, I'm an admin for a financial system that the Space Force uses. So
Oh,
yeah,
oh, you have your ties into technology. That's awesome. That
yep,
you might as well use the tools if they're available.
absolutely.
Um, let me ask you this. Yeah, it sounded like, it didn't take you very long to gather your thoughts, the emotions that are involved with that in creating those lyrics.
Yeah.
Were you really pleased? How many passes did it take for you until you were really satisfied with, I liked how this turned out? Or was this like first time's a charm kind of thing?
I think right off the bat, as soon as I got to the very last chorus where, instead of your cheating heart is playing in your mind, it's Amazing Grace. You know what I mean? I love when that last chorus does it for me. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Very cool. When you had finished the song, who was the first person you played it for, and what did they think?
Oh man. I probably sent it to my friend Ben Miller, who is produces a lot of my music. And I asked him, "Hey, what do I always say, what do you think about this song?" There's several people that I go to, but he's probably the first one that I go to.
Mhm.
And he's like, "Man, yeah, he loved," and he said he loved the song, and so I decided to record it.
That's awesome. Okay, so the message that you want your fans to know about that song, what is it?
Um, Keep the faith. You know what I mean? Like I said, I don't go to the church as much as I should, but I'm always praying. I'm always got God in my heart, and I think no matter what happens in life, things always get better. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
All right, okay. So, hey, let's talk a little bit about your history with the U.S. Air Force. I mean, 24 years. That, I'm going to tell you right now, that deserves our recognition and
Thank
our
you.
heartfelt thanks. So, Joe, thank you for your service. Can you
Appreciate that.
describe the inspiration that you felt um, that prompted you to enlist?
Yeah, absolutely. It all started first off with my dad telling me stories. As I was a kid, he was in Vietnam, and he only did like 3 or 4 years, I believe. And but he just the stories, like when it even ties back to songwriting. I love stories. And then when I was 13, one of my dad's friends, who we were really close with, his son had joined the Air Force. I think he was maybe 4 or 5 years older than me. Well, he ended up passing away in a boating accident out in Tinker Air Force Base, I believe it was. So we went to his funeral. I was 13. The first time ever seen an honor guard, and it just had an immense, how do I say it? It just touched me. To see how sharp they looked, and you know, um, it was just inspirational. And I knew right then and there that I was gonna join the Air Force. Yeah.
Mhm. Did you place expectations on yourself on what you wanted to achieve after you enlisted? Or, I mean, did you have something visionary that said, this is the motivation that got me here, and now I want to accomplish this? Got anything?
Honestly,
Mhm.
yeah, honestly, as a young guy, it was more I just want to have fun. That's how it started out,
Is that
honestly.
how it is?
At least for
Coming from
me.
the son of a Marine Corps, you know. Okay, all
And
right.
I heard the stories my dad told me, and I did okay in school, but I didn't. I passed. I graduated on time. It was just I was ready to be on my own. I came from a family that mom and dad divorced, and things that happened in my life. I was just ready to do something new and get on my own.
Mhm.
And yeah, I did. And when I joined the Air Force, man, it didn't take long for me to become, proud and gung ho about what I was doing.
Yeah. So while you were serving, there. And this is, oh my goodness, a 24-year span of experiences. Can you share any highlights, things that stand out in your service that you can?
Yeah, I mean, joining the Air Force, one of the big reasons I wanted to travel. I wanted to get out and see the world. And I remember being in a Shepherd Air Force Base back in '95, and they said they came out down with assignments, and I was sure I was going overseas 'cause I put everything overseas, and they came in and said, "Okay, we got your assignment. Here it is. You're going to Altus Air Force Base." And I was like, yes, because I thought it was I never heard of that base, so it must have been overseas.
What was it? I'm sorry, I'm not
No,
familiar.
Altus. So Altus was about 150 miles north of Shepherd Air Force Base out in Oklahoma, in the middle of nowhere, pretty much.
Living the dream.
But yeah, but from there, I was only there a year. I got sent to Panama, Howard Air Force Base in Panama, and the highlight there is definitely meeting my wife. That's where I met her. She's Panamanian.
All right.
Yeah, and my daughter was born there. So
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Um, Challenges. Do you anything that stands out that you'd like to share with us while you were serving? I mean, it was 24 years. My goodness. I mean, I'd love to sit down over. Well, next time we go to Hero Stock, we'll talk more
yeah, absolutely. No,
for sure. But anything come to mind that it's kind of like, yeah, it's not quite what I expected here, but I'll deal with it.
there's definitely challenges when it comes, especially once you become a family man and having to deploy. I went to Korea twice, so I did a year each time, and then also, unaccompanied, and then one deployment or two deployments, one to Bahrain, and then one I went to Virginia, but that was just a TDY. But yeah, I was probably gone a total close to 3 years,
Mm.
and yeah, that's definitely a challenge, especially when you got a newborn, or and you have to head out. And the first deployment was challenging because I was only supposed to be there 3 months, and I got there in December of 2002 in Bahrain, and in February, the month I was supposed to leave, we got pulled into the base theater and told we were there indefinitely because the war kicked off in 2003, March of 2003. So they started ramping up, and we didn't even know when we were getting back home. So that was tough, especially being away from the family for the first time. But excuse me. But you get through it, and you meet people that can help you get through it. Friends that you have for the rest of your life, and we all rely on each other to get by.
So let me ask you this and just kind of angle this towards the music because we're still, we haven't even touched
Yeah.
on when music came to your rescue, if you will, if that's even an accurate statement. At what point in time were you introduced to music? Was this before you joined the Air Force, or was this something that happened while you were serving?
Yeah, I've always loved music. I would sing in the car, the country music or whatever it was that I was listening to. Sitting shotgun with my next to my dad, he always listened to the oldies and stuff. But I wasn't a good singer, and but I always had a love for music. But it wasn't until late. I didn't even pick up a guitar till I was 38, while I was in the service. Yeah,
Wow. Okay. So yeah. So I'm all of the questions that I had about what was your first musical instrument. I think you've answered that one.
yeah,
Wow. 38. Okay. Cool.
yeah.
You know, I'm going to hold off on the questions because we're at that point. We would love to hear you sing one of your originals. What do you got for us? And what's the
Absolutely.
story behind it?
Yeah, so this one is called Bonfires in Strawberry Hill. I just got word the other day that it was 98 on the official Texas music chart.
Way to go.
Yeah,
Wow.
so I was
You're
pretty,
a charting artist.
yeah, I was excited about that. And
I
basically
bet.
yeah, it's a true story about me, being in high school with my buddies. Like the friends that I had in high school, we were inseparable. There was five of us, and then we had other friends that we always hung out with. And one thing we did, it was bonfires, because I'm from Corpus Christi, Texas, so Padre Island's just right down the street. So we'd get our dad's pickups and go behind Walmart and take all the pallets from the back and take them to the beach and dig a hole, and just we'd literally stay there all night. I worked at Montgomery Ward, that store that I think most of them are closed now.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I
so
remember them. Wow.
Yeah, and I was one of the guys that unloaded trucks, and I remember at least a few times where it went straight from the beach to work. So we had we had a
Wow.
little
So,
bit too much fun.
What a life, man.
Yeah.
so the Strawberry Fields isn't a Beatles reference, huh?
No, no. Strawberry Hill. It's like Boone's Farm, Strawberry Hill.
That's all right.
Oh yeah, I remember that too. All right.
That's
Well,
yeah.
yeah, Joe, fire it up. Let's hear it. Joe Allen.
Sure. Yeah, this one's called Bonfires in Strawberry Hill. We were young and we were wild, sipping Boone's Farm, smoking Black and Miles, rocking Dad's pickup truck on a Friday night. 3 doors down the street from her house, she snuck out quiet as a mouse. Put her in drive with the stick shift between her legs. Headed to Padre with pallets to burn, a bunch of kids with a lot left to learn. Not a care in the world, future bright but unclear. It was bonfires in Strawberry Hill, singing campfire songs, man, I get chills. It was holding on to your girlfriend tight in puppy love, so wrong, but it felt so right. The dunes caught fire and we had to go when the flames raged out of control. In a convoy of trucks headed back to town, got stopped by the cops that night. He said, pour out your beer, son, it was jail for the night. Switch seats, now she's driving herself home. Now the stick shifts between my legs, I'm stealing kisses up and down her neck, wishing we were back in front of that fire. It was bonfires in Strawberry Hill, singing campfire songs, man, I get chills. It was holding on to your girlfriend tight in puppy love, so wrong, but it felt so right. Don't take the girl on the radio singing into her eyes, we both wanted more. It wasn't meant to be, her mom was waiting outside. The next day I waited for her call. When the phone rang, we talked about it all, reminiscing about last night and the fun we had when it was bonfires in Strawberry Hill, dancing around the flames, man, I get chills. It was holding on to your girlfriend tight in puppy love, so wrong, but it felt so right. It was bonfires in Strawberry Hill, singing campfire songs, man, I get chills. It was holding on to your girlfriend tight in puppy love, so wrong, but it felt so right. It felt so right. It felt so right.
Joe Allen Christi, everyone. All right, man. I'll have to tell you that, when it comes to music, and, when we start writing our songs and we draw ourselves back into time and the experiences that we have, of course, Boone's Farm.
Yeah.
It brings back some pretty good memories. And it sounds like it did for you too.
Well, yeah, it's funny because that's what, you're not supposed to be drinking in high school, but, the times have changed, especially a lot. But it's like one of those things that's kind of how you get started until you get the taste for beer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm afraid yeah, I can relate to that for sure. Hey, so let's go back to your youth. Let's
Sure.
talk a little bit about the introduction to music. I mean, when do you recall when you heard music for the first time and it's like, bam, wow,
Yeah.
this is got I want this to be in my life. Do you remember what was the do you remember the situation when that happened?
Yeah, it all goes back to just riding in my dad's truck or in my mom's car. My dad was country. That's what basically all he listened to, and the old stuff. Merle Haggard, Waylon Jennings, Willie Nelson, all that stuff is what I got started on, and Kenny Rogers, of course, and in my mom's car it was Tejano music, so it was Spanish music, and my mom was always singing in the car. And she liked country too, but not. She was mostly listening to Tejano music.
Did they encourage you to play? They knew that music had that impact on you.
No, I always wanted to. I always wanted to learn guitar, but it was just one of those things I just never did. I took guitar class like in high school, but it was a semester and I didn't learn much. And I don't think I was as motivated, until I got to that a certain age. And yeah, so yeah, just growing up, being in the car, listening to my mom sing, listening to her music, and my dad playing country, and you know, it was one of those things that music can take you back to a specific time and place, and I even though it was kind of rough when I was a kid, especially when your parents and divorced when you're young and you're the oldest, and you're the one kind of remembers everything because I think I was maybe 8 or 9, so I was able to remember. And my brother and sister, they probably don't remember as much as I do.
Mm. So if music wasn't a part of your life back then, um, maybe you can talk about your first concert as you maybe went through teenage years or maybe even, later in life. What was your first concert?
Wow. Um,
Trick question.
Man, it must have been maybe a festival where where there was Tejano music because I'm from South Texas and Tejano's big back then. Especially you have Selena. I used to see Selena down the street. She lived right down the street from my grandfather's
Really?
house.
Oh,
So things like that. Any festival that they have downtown, you would see Tejano music, and that was mostly I think that maybe probably the first concert. Who it was, I don't know.
mhm.
I just that's if I had to guess, I think that would be it. Um, yeah, and I don't. It wasn't until later, until I actually got a little older, where I started searching for concerts to go to.
Mhm.
And I got to see Travis Tritt when I was in the Air Force in Virginia. He did a free concert out in it's called Fort Monroe, and yeah, so it's kind of hard. I've been to several concerts, but it was more later in life. We were in growing up, we didn't have like tons of stuff, like we weren't rich or anything, and more middle class, lower middle class. But most of what I remember is just playing outside with my friends. You know,
Yeah. Did you play sports? Were you into doing sports and all? And
yeah, I started off as, very young playing soccer, and then from there, once I got into second grade, I started playing football.
Mhm.
And I played football pretty much all through elementary, and then when I got to middle school, I didn't play any sports. But once I got into high school, I started football up again. And I football, I give a lot of credit to as far as helping me be a part of a team and meeting friends and kind of understanding what it takes not to let the other people down and to work hard. We had great coaches, and we were very close to them. And yeah, they did a lot for me.
well, listen, let me go back to the music for just a moment here.
Sure.
So at that point in life, it sounds like music wasn't really, I mean, it was something that your parents had exposed you to. Some of the local bands that were there, particularly Selena. Oh, my daughter loved
Yeah.
it. And we would listen to her all the time. So um, when it came time to, you were in the service and all,
Yep.
and you started to experience the highs and lows and such. Did music play a part in any of the situations that you were in that you found yourself in? Sometimes it would be uplifting. Sometimes, it would make you feel, different emotions.
Yeah, most of the songs that I think that really drove emotion was like Randy Travis songs, especially Grandpa. It's called "He Walked on Water."
Hmm.
Yeah, that's definitely one. It still gives me emotions now because you know, my grandfather died when I was 11, so that's definitely been the song that sparks emotion in me.
Now, there's a song that you wrote.
Yeah,
Yeah, is it about your grandfather?
yep. It's dedicated to him. Yep.
I think it's that time, isn't it? We need
Yeah,
to.
we can do that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, maybe you were close to your grandfather,
Oh
perhaps.
yeah, very close.
What's the story? And what's the name of the song? It was Grandpa's Fishing Hole?
Grandpa's fishing hole. Yeah.
Okay, Grandpa's Fishing Hole. And we talked about that. What can you tell us about that song and how does it tie back in to your grandpa?
Yeah, during the time when my mom and dad were going, through the divorce and stuff, it was being with my grandfather was really kind of the only place that I could forget about, things going on. Kind of the only place I could really be a kid. And that's why I wrote it. It's just one of those things that, how do you say it? He means he meant a lot to me, and I think about him every day. So, what better way to honor him by writing him a song, right?
Yeah, let's before we get to that song, I know that in the Guitar Service Learning Center, we have offered up songwriting as a part of the curriculum that we offer. And
Yeah,
often, we talk about what is songwriting. Not only is it choosing chords and writing lyrics, but there's a real emotional tie to songwriting. And it sounds like that's the path that you're going down. This is not just a bunch
yeah.
of words. This is an emotional journey. Would you agree with that?
Oh, 100%. Ever since I started writing, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's like a light switch, and when you're writing, that the emotions come out, and it's very healing. Because
How, how,
I haven't really, I'd never really, since I've started writing, I get emotional quite a bit. And, but I love it. And I love sharing that story. And, it's just one of those things that heals and it gets stuff off of your chest kind of thing.
Mhm.
And since I've begun writing, like I said, it's just emotions just flow and I never know when it's going to come.
And obviously you've written at least 8 songs that you had mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
And each one I would imagine is an emotional journey.
Yeah, definitely. There's been some songs, you write with co-writers and you're working on other people's songs and their ideas, and you try to place yourself in that part where you're feeling what that song is trying to say. And I don't know, I kind of compare it to like being an actor sometimes especially when you're writing a song, you put yourself in that place and I've written songs that really didn't pertain much to me, but I'm able to kind of channel that, and I'll get emotional from a song that, it doesn't really pertain much to me. You know,
That's songwriting for you.
yeah, it's an amazing thing.
How about Grandpa's Fishing Hole?
Sure,
Joe Allen Christi, everyone.
thank you. I was just a kid from a broken home. Mom and Dad couldn't get along. Spent many nights crying myself to sleep. Only saw Dad 4 days a month, sometimes less 'cause he drove a truck. But Grandpa was there when he was on the road. And riding shotgun in Grandpa's truck headed to his favorite fishing spot. It's the only place where I could be a kid. It's where I caught my first fish. He laughed 'cause I was scared of it. We talked about life and how to be a man. He said, don't put off what you can do today. Say what you mean what you say. Find yourself a good one, don't let her go. Life lessons learned at Grandpa's fishing hole. When Grandpa passed, I took it hard, but he lives forever in my heart. I met a girl, fell in love. I remembered what Grandpa said. So on the bank under the willow tree, I asked her if she'd marry me. I didn't think that fishing hole could mean any more to me, 'cause it's where I caught my first fish. He laughed 'cause I was scared of it. We talked about life and how to be a man. He said, don't put off what you can do today. Say what you mean what you say. Find yourself a good one, don't let her go. Life lessons learned at Grandpa's fishing hole. Our kids love that fishing spot. They fish, swim, and laugh a lot. We picnic on the bank under the willow tree. I miss that man, but we're making new memories. It's where they caught their first fish, where their mom and I had our first kiss. Grandpa's gone, but he lives in the words he said to me. Don't put off what you can do today. Say what you mean what you say. Find yourself a good one, don't let her go. Life lessons learned at Grandpa's fishing hole. Can't imagine life without Grandpa's fishing hole.
Joe Allen Christi, Grandpa's Fishing Hole. Hey, is that on an EP or anything? Or you have you got enough songs for an album? Or
That I actually recorded that one. It's out, and it's probably my most streamed song. It actually is. I think, yeah, it is my most streamed song.
so we can find you then on all the streaming platforms.
Yep, Spotify, Apple Music. Yep.
All right. So when did you decide that, you know what, I've got it in me to be a singer-songwriter? Were you still in the Air Force at that time, or?
Yeah. So I went through a period in my late 30s where I was just I felt like all I was doing, like going to work, coming home, watching TV, you know what I mean, the kind of thing. You get in that rut where you're like, you're not doing much. And there was just something that, a decision that I made, that I was going to stop watching so much TV and learn something. And during that time also, my daughter was kind of going through some struggles being a teen. So I figured I'd buy her a guitar, buy me a guitar, and something we can do together. And yeah, it turns out teenagers don't want to hang out with their dads. So it was kind of like a moot point. But yeah, I stopped watching TV, decided I was going to learn something. I also started doing endurance racing. I was doing Spartan races. I was doing triathlons and marathons and things like that. And yeah, so I got used to putting myself in uncomfortable situations. I've done like really long endurance running. I was doing long distance obstacle courses and of course triathlon, half Ironman.
Wow.
which is a mile swim, uh, what is it, 53-mile bike ride, and then a half marathon. So yeah, you're talking about 7 hours of exercise.
And all through that time, you're singing which song in your head to get you to the finish line? Is there?
Man, it was more the training because there's so much when you're doing a half Ironman. I mean, you don't even try it if you're not going to get up every morning at 5 o'clock and run 5 to 7 miles and get your swim in, get your bike in on the weekends. It's like one of those things. It's actually finishing a half Ironman is kind of one of the most emotional things to go through, just because there's so much work that you put into it. And
Yeah.
during yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and during that time, I just kept the guitar in my hands when I had free time. Instead of watching TV, I kept the guitar. And then as I started playing guitar, I was like, man, I really want to sing. And I couldn't sing at the time, so I was at the time I had a triathlon coach, and so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get a coach for singing. So that's what I did. I've been taking vocal lessons ever since. I still take them, and because I know I have a lot of improvement that I can make, and that's kind of how it all started. And then and during that time of playing guitar and singing covers, I was like, man, I really want to write my own songs, and it took it took me years to be able to write a song. I mean, it was one of those things where you sit down and try, and you're nothing's coming to you. And then all of a sudden, I wrote "Bonfires in Strawberry Hill." That was my first song that I ever wrote, and from there, they just started. They didn't come fast, but they came. You know what I mean? So, and then now, the more I've been songwriting, the faster things come, and the puzzle's easier to put together.
Now, you are you primarily writing things on your own, or do you collaborate?
I I do both. I honestly I do love writing with other folks, collaborating, just because you learn from what they're doing. Like, so my buddy Kenny, who I write with a lot, he's really great at guitar. Like, he can do leads, and he can come up with really cool chord progressions and things like that. And I'm more of a lyricist. I'm not the best guitar. I'm still learning guitar, and when it's a lot easier to write when you got a good chord progression where you're feeling it, and that's why I like writing with others. And then I like writing by myself just for to get better, the better songwriter. I always think that writing with somebody else, you get a better product. But if you put the time in and you're writing by yourself, you can come up with something really great that means a lot to you. And I like doing both, honestly.
You recently told me about an experience. I think we had talked a couple weeks ago, and it's like, hey, I'm off to go somewhere,
Yeah.
meeting up with a bunch of veterans and songwriters and things like. Can you share what that experience was about, and
Oh, yeah.
if it helped you become a better songwriter, perhaps, or what you learned from them?
Yeah, absolutely. So I had the opportunity, and it was an amazing opportunity. It's called Warrior Song, and it takes place at Southern Ground, which is Zach Brown's charity camp that he does for veterans, for kids. It's an amazing place, and basically they bring veteran singer songwriters that served, because we spent our first part of our life, being serving our country. We didn't have the opportunity to go out and chase the dream of being a musician. And so what they do is it was 12 of us. They brought 12 veterans in, and they bring in industry folks like Doug Johnson was one of them. He's actually the one that signed Scotty Hastings, and he wrote Three Wooden Crosses. Brought in Joe West, who wrote American Ride. He writes songs for Keith Urban, and they're both producers. So and Grammy award winning producers, and they brought in publishers and just people in the music business to give us a leg up to give us the tools that we need so that we can catch up to the folks that've been doing music their whole life.
Did the experience validate what it was that you've already experienced on your own as a songwriter? I mean, one thing that comes to mind, emotion.
Yeah.
Was it Was it openly emotional to sit down with some of these other veterans and go
Oh,
through that process? Can you talk about that?
absolutely, absolutely. Because you and here's the thing with the 12 veterans that were there, they were all super talented. Like they had amazing voices. They're great at guitar. And there was actually one guy. He's probably the best singer out of the group, but he didn't play guitar. And he being with us, and kind of motivated him. We had at the end of a Warrior song. There's a concert, so we all play one song that we wrote. And he had never played guitar, and he'd been learning guitar, but he'd never played in front of anybody. But he decided during that concert that he was going to go out there and play his guitar and sing, and he did it, and he killed it.
Wow.
Yeah. So we met. I don't know if you ever heard of that show. It's called Alaska: The Last Frontier.
I have. Yeah.
Yeah. And so one of the main guys in there, his name is Otts Kilcher. He's actually Jules' father, and he's a songwriter. Yeah, he's a songwriter as well. And we met him, and he shared his story with us. We shared our stories with him. It was very emotional, but man, it was so worth it to be able to sit with him, because he's an older man, and this wealth of knowledge that he had to share with us was amazing.
Did you leave Camp Southern Ground with a song that you plan on recording, or is it still
We
in the works?
No, we didn't. So there was some writing that we did, and some that we started. The best part of it was we played a song for them before the concert that we had been working on, and they gave us feedback on it. It's like, what can you do here? Just advice on how to make it better. And really, the stuff that I learned there, I think I'm really looking forward to the songs that I'm gonna write, because I feel like going through that experience made me a better songwriter. Just being around them, and then the advice that they were given, it was priceless.
And I have to tell you, Guitars for Vets has made its mark on Camp Southern Ground, because there are three artists that I've interviewed here on Song Sung True: Scotty Hastings.
Yep.
We also just recently had John Hensley. Uh,
Yeah.
we also
Great
had
guy.
Shannon Book. The
Yeah,
three of
another
them
great
have
guy.
been on this show, and they've talked about their experiences with Warrior Song and with that Camp Southern Ground. So you're in great company. It's great to hear the stories that are coming from that experience. And I think it's time for you to pick up that guitar again. And
Yeah.
why don't you share another song with us? I'd love to hear what it is.
So yeah, so this one's called "Getting Back to Loving You," and this is one that I played for John Hensley, as a matter of fact. And he gave me a lot of advice on it, like chord changes that I didn't ever thought of, and God, what an amazing guy, willing to share his experience, because he was our mentor. He had went through Warrior Song the year prior, and this year he was the mentor. And and this is one that I wrote. It's called "Getting Back to Loving You," and it's kind of like a story of me and my wife. You know how relationships, as you're married. I've been married 27 years, so you have those ebbs and flows, and sometimes you got to put some effort to get that back, and that's kind of what it's about.
All right. Joe Allen Christi, everyone.
Here we go. We fell in love on a sawdust floor to the sound of a steel guitar. There's nothing like a country song to make two hearts one. Somewhere our love jumped the tracks. Life came quick and the kids came fast. There's too much at stake to just let our love slip away. I wanna get lost in a song with you, like we did way back then, and get back the love we lost forever and ever, amen. And when we get behind closed doors, we'll kick off our cowboy boots, with nothing on but the radio, getting back to loving you. Baby, you ain't just a soccer mom, those tight blue jeans still turn me on. So put down that broom, there's only one thing I want to do with you. Get lost in a song with you, like we did way back then. Get back that love we lost, forever and ever, amen. And when we get behind closed doors, we'll kick off our cowboy boots, with nothing on but the radio, getting back to loving you. Till death do us part, I'll owe you 1,000,000 kisses. Gonna spin you around every Saturday night, make up for what we've been missing. 'Cause I wanna get lost in a song with you, like we did way back then. And get back that love we lost, forever and ever, amen. And when we get behind closed doors, we'll kick off our cowboy boots, with nothing on but the radio, getting back to loving you. Yeah, with nothing on but the radio, getting back to loving you.
All right, Joe Allen Christi, everyone. And that is a song that is yet to be released, right?
Correct. I just literally finished yesterday.
Well, real good. More success coming your way. We hope with these songs that you're writing and sharing with us. Matt L., who has joined us, is dropping off. He says, "Great job, Joe."
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Unfortunately, his technology was acting up like technology was acting up on us.
Hey, Tom.
Yeah. Paul.
Can I ask Joe, was that a shout out to Randy Travis, the lyric Forever and Ever, Amen?
Yeah, so that was the idea when I started the song, because get lost in a song with you. So I actually used different songs before, but then I kind of changed it up. But so Forever and Ever, Amen, When We Get Behind Closed Doors, and nothing on but the radio. Those are 3 songs there, and those are titles to a song. And so get lost in a song with you. So that's kind of the theme there.
Great.
You know what I mean?
We're getting to see a little bit about Joe Allen Christi's style of songwriting as he's kind of parsing everything out. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's different for everyone. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Everybody's unique.
Joe,
So-
when you're writing, do you when you're writing a song, do you have a sense of what is, quote, a good song and what is not a good song?
For the most part.
What's the difference? What's the difference?
Sometimes you try to put too much into it. It's not about being vague, but I learned something. I can't remember where I heard it. It's been a while since I heard it, but when you're writing a song, you're not necessarily, you're storytelling, but you're more describing a feeling. If the song is, you can't just be everywhere. You can't have multiple, themes about it. It's basically one theme. It's just like, the song, if it's you should be, to me, and from what I heard, it's basically describing a feeling that you get, instead of and in that you can tell a story, but for the most part you can tell whether it's a good song or not. There's a song that I wrote and that I sent to a friend, my friend Ben, and I was like, I don't know, I think this is corny. What do you think? He's like, yeah, it's corny. so for the most part you do know, but you're always, as a songwriter, you're always looking for validation, because we're our own worst critic. And
as a lyricist, I'm assuming what you consider like corny or bad song has to do more with the lyrics you've chosen for that song.
Yeah, the lyrics or the subject. It just
subject
depends.
to?
Yeah. And, you know, especially if it's something dear to your heart and it's something that you've gone through, I think you can't write a bad song, even if it's maybe not everybody's gonna like it. But like for me, Sign of the Cross is one of those songs where I don't know, I don't think maybe everybody likes that song, but for me it just means and it means a lot to me, and that's why I like singing it. So when I play shows or do gigs or go live on TikTok, whatever I'm doing, I always play that song.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I'm assuming you write songs for others, and sometimes you write them for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially like when you co-write, you're trying to write a song that you think people are going to like. So when I write with my friend Kenny, if he brings an idea, it's going to probably more be in the range of a pop country song. And if I write a song, it's mostly it's more traditional. If it's my idea, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey,
Because
answer this for me, Joe. What do you enjoy most about being a songwriter?
I would say just telling my story, telling a story. I mean,
The release.
yeah, it's a release. The emotion releases, like, when I'm writing a song by myself, there's nobody around. I'm in my basement. They can't see me crying. And it's definitely a release. And yeah, I think that's the big part of it. It's an emotional release, and then be able to share that, and then your story touches somebody else because they've gone through something similar. Because the song doesn't have to be exactly their story. It could be the chorus, or it could be the bridge, or verse two, or verse one, and it hits them. You know what I mean? And I think that's where you really connect with people that are hearing your songs.
So I want to ask you this. I'm going to transition to the guitar side because we do have a guitar audience here.
Yep.
Um, Let me ask you, at what point did you feel like you are comfortable performing with a guitar? At what point did it take years to study how to play guitar, or was like, no, I'll just, it's something I'll learn along the way. But at what
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So it's funny how guitar works. Right? You learn guitar, and then when you try to sing on top of it, your your rhythm's off. It's really one of the hardest things you can do is to play guitar and sing. And that's why I'm in awe of the folks that are really great at guitar. And you know what I mean? I've seen Keith Urban, for instance, play a lead while
Nice.
he's singing. I'm like, how do you do that? Like, that's what I want to do. But yeah, it's one of those things. And as far as being comfortable with it, you know, when I decided, hey, I want to play music for people, I want to gig, I started just making little goals and get better every day. So I started on TikTok streaming, playing guitar. I could I could barely play guitar, but I just kept doing it. And I maybe knew 25 songs, and but I did it anyway. It's just one of those things that you can't get better if you don't do it. You know what I mean? And it's one of those things where I set a goal to do that, and then the next year my goal was to play in front of people. And I think it was in January, and I wasn't really out. Basically, what I did was I'm gonna go do an open mic. I'm gonna learn 3 songs where I don't, where I feel like I have them down packed. And I did that. I went and played, and that night I got asked to do a gig for an hour and a half gig 2 days later. So I almost didn't really have a choice. And they asked me, "Yeah, you want to do?" And you want to? We got an hour and a half slot on Thursday. I did the open mic on a Tuesday, and on Thursday we have an open slot for an hour and a half, gig. And I almost said no, but I was like, I remembered the goal that I set. I said, well, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm at the open mic. So I said yes, and that's how it all kind of started.
When you did the open mic, were any of the 3 songs originals?
Um, One was, yeah,
That's
bonfires and
that's
strawberry.
even that's even like another special side of it is presenting to the world one of your own, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Lot different
Especially,
than playing like Bad Moon Rising or something like
yeah,
that.
especially when you don't, you're like so new and you've never played in front of people, and you never played any of your own stuff in front of people.
Right. Right.
So yeah, it's just one of those things. Doing those endurance races that I did, putting yourself in uncomfortable positions, I think paved the way for me to get out and do, and do it. You just like you think back to what you've been through. There's nothing harder than doing an Ironman, and so I mean it's just
Was there one guitar tip or one piece of guitar advice that really helped you kind of break through a little bit more on your guitar learning?
honestly, to I'm a big believer in that 10,000 hour rule. I don't know if you've ever heard that.
I have. I hate that rule.
How
It
far are
hurts.
you from
My
Yeah.
fingers
10,000
hurt.
hours?
Yeah, and I'm at about probably 5,000 hours, I would say, and it's just one of those things. You got to have it in your hand. I mean, you can't help but learn, have it in your hand, and of course, I took lessons as well. But even if you take a lesson, if you don't go home and practice, and you don't put the time in, you ain't gonna get better. So like I said, I'm a firm believer in that 10,000 hour rule, and I believe that that's what it takes. I don't think there's nothing that we can't do in life that we don't put our minds to, and that's what doing that endurance racing and all those things that I thought I'd never do got me.
So have you tried the F bar chord then? No, just kidding.
Yeah, that took a while, but yeah, I kind of cheat with the F sometimes because I'll play it down here.
Yeah. Not cheating, my
Works.
friend. It ain't cheating.
That works. Well, I have one request, Joe, because I enjoyed the story so much, and I don't know if it was Jason Steiner who told me this story,
Yeah,
but it was when you were invited to Hero Stock. Can you because this is what music does. It's kind of
yeah,
like it comes out of nowhere and all of a sudden it's sitting on your lap and it's like, yeah, I'm
yeah.
I'm in, I'm all in. Can you share that story with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start off by actually today I was talking to my producer friend, and I was telling him about the experience that I had at Warrior Song. He's like, "How did you get to go do this?" And I was like, "Honestly, it all started because of TikTok and Jason. And the reason was he saw me on TikTok streaming, and he reached out to me. He said, "Hey, can I give you a call?" He was telling me about this thing that he's putting together, and it was not this year, but last year, and he said we'd love to have you come out, even if you're not going to play. He wanted me to come out and just enjoy the experience. And I wasn't sure yet because I was actually going to be hunting, but I decided to do it anyway, which is kind of the best decision I think I've ever made, just because of where it's led me. And I ended up going to Hero Stock. He made space for me to play. I met Scotty Hastings the night before we played at Hero Stock. Me, Scotty Hastings, and Barbara Sim played music till and Taylor as well. Taylor was there, and we played music till 3 o'clock in the morning for everybody that was sitting around in the living room. And then the next day, Jason gave me a few songs, a slot for a few songs, and man, I had never played for that many people before. It was really new to me. I was, and, it was on a elevated stage, which I had never been on. So it's it was a great experience. I had so much fun, and I learned a lot. I got to see Scotty Hastings play and kind of learn from him. He's just so comfortable up there, and Barbara as well. And it was a great experience. We such a weekend of camaraderie that I'll never forget that.
See what music can do.
Yeah,
Truly the healing power. Do you have another song for us by any chance?
I do.
All right.
This one actually played at Hero Stock the first time that I played there. It's called "Keep the Flag," and it's a song that I wrote with a friend of mine. His name is Philip Jeffries, and I had this idea because going back to when I was a kid, going to being at the funeral for my friend Frankie's funeral when they laid him to rest, and they had the honor guard there, and I had this idea like the officer that gives the flag to the kid, and he doesn't want the flag, he wants his dad back. And that's where I kind of I got that idea, and then I mentioned it to my friend, and I think it's the second song I ever wrote, but we wrote it together. So I shared the idea with him, and he's like, wait right there, I'm coming over right now, because he loved the idea, and we wrote it. And this one's called Keep the Flag, and it's dedicated to Gold Star families.
All right. Joe Allen Christi, everyone.
He woke up one morning to the sound of a telephone ring. His dad was lacing his boots, bags were packed up to go away. He was 7 years old when his daddy left to fight in a war. And he's too young to understand what for. He said, be brave, my son, I'll be home soon. The boy held on to hope till he got that awful news. And as they folded up the stars and stripes, 21 guns pointed towards the sky. As the shots rang out, he flinched a little each time. Then a soldier in his best dress walked up to him, and you know the rest. But through his pain, the soldier's words fell flat. He said, you keep the flag. I want my daddy back. There ain't no book on how life can go on without his daddy. Their house ain't a home. And there's certain things a mama just don't get, like baiting a hook or oil in a catcher's mitt. She watches him play catch with a wall. He's talking to his daddy like he never left at all. And as they folded up the stars and stripes, 21 guns pointed towards the sky. As the shots rang out, she flinched a little each time. Then a soldier in his best dress walked up to her, you know the rest. But through her pain, the soldier's words fell flat. She said, you keep the flag. I want his daddy back. As time passed together, they moved on. And through the years, his memory stayed strong. The flag they never wanted now sits proudly on the mantle to give honor to the man that gave his all. And as they folded up the stars and stripes, 21 guns pointed towards the sky. As the shots rang out, he flinched a little each time. Then a soldier in his best dress walked up to him, and you know the rest. But through his pain, the soldier's words fell flat. He said, you keep the flag. he said, you keep the flag. I want my daddy back. The flag they never wanted now sits proudly on the mantle to give honor to the man that gave his all.
What an excellent song. Joe, boy, storytelling. You can sure share them. That was great.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I remember hearing that song when I went to your site months ago before we had you the first time around. And I thought, wow, I hope he plays that. So glad you did.
Thank you.
So,
Yeah, it's a tough song to get through.
hey, I wanted to make sure that our crowd of guests this evening watching you have questions. If they do, then get ready. We're going to put Paul on in here in just a moment here. But
Absolutely.
Joe, I wanted to thank you for taking the time to share the stories and your original songs and even the new ones that have not yet been recorded with us. It's such an honor to have you share that with us. Can you tell everyone where we can find your music, your gig schedule, your recordings, merchandise, etc.?
Absolutely. So joeallenchristi.com. And the Christi is Christi. And yeah, it'll take you to my music to get where gigs I'm playing next. And I do have a merch store, and also you can get all my social media through there.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I actually saw. I checked out your site myself, and I thought, all right, nice to see all of that stuff there for sure. Next year, when you go to HeroSec, you're going to bring some of that, will you?
Absolutely.
If you were to, I'm going to just ask you a couple more questions here, then I'm going
Sure.
to fall in. If you were to sum up your music's, sum up, the impact that music has had on your life, how might you describe that?
Yeah. First off, it's just the people that you meet playing music with the kind of the same story that you have, and you build. What I love about playing music and the people that follow me and like my music, I feel like they're part of my family. That to be intimate with somebody with the music that you wrote, it's not easy to do, and but it's rewarding, and yeah, I really love that part. And then yeah, just the healing that music does for your soul. There's stuff that I think I was holding in for a long time that I've gotten to a point where I'm able to release it.
Wonderful what music can do, for sure.
Yep.
So I'm going to bring Paul in right now with any questions that our audience may have provided,
Sure.
or maybe your own, because Paul's been known to throw those
Yeah.
out there, the ones that I miss. Paul,
Well,
thanks.
certainly we'd love it if you would think about the new guitar player or the new guitar player that's interested in songwriting, like what tips, what advice might you have for someone just starting, kind of exploring this idea of songwriting?
Yeah, the great thing about the times we're living in is there's so much available whether it be YouTube or your local guitar teacher, whatever it may be. Sit down instead of I would say, like I said, leave the TV alone, put your guitar in your hands, and play. The more you play, you're gonna see the improvement, even if it's a little bit. Like say for instance, the C chord was definitely one of those chords that is difficult to play and get your fingers to kind of memorize. But the more you do it, even if you're just sitting there at your guitar and just doing this, you know what I mean, and then switching to the D, whatever it may be, you can do that anytime. When you're watching TV, you don't even have to make noise. You just do the motions, the G, C, D, and start off that way. And if you want to be a songwriter, start writing right away. Don't wait for the music to come. Start writing stuff down, write ideas, write poems or poems, and start now, even before you think you can write a song. Just start putting stuff on paper and listen to people's conversations. Now, I'm not saying eavesdrop and like get mixed up, but and passing, it's like you're sitting in a subway or wherever you may be on a bus, or sitting at the airport. You can get, and then reading as well, like picking up the newspaper. We'll give you ideas. And yeah, it's just, I think you just got to start now. And then when you start, don't stop. It's like I said, the 10,000 hour rule.
I like what you said earlier about being very goal directed and setting a goal for yourself. I've got to play a fundraiser that's coming up, and the song that I'm playing on is not a song I'm familiar with.
Yeah.
And, I was kind of feeling, I know that the more I get the reps in, the more confident I feel.
Yeah.
I was feeling kind of anxiety about it coming up. I'm not happy with like my progress. And I'm like, I'm just going to get X number of reps in a day. And that was
Yeah.
like 3 days ago. My fingers hurt, but I feel much better.
Yeah, exactly. You get the calluses, and that's the thing too. Is like you're worried about being nervous and playing in front of people. You're going to be nervous almost every time you get up there. You know what I mean? There's degrees of nervousness. There's degrees like, I can't wait, or
Yeah.
you're playing in front of, like, this past year with the band that I was with. We played in front of 900 people in out in Vale, and I never played for that many people being a part of a band, but you go out and do it. Couple of songs in, you start having fun and you warm up, and it's just like second nature. It's just one of those things. If you're going to play music, just expect to be nervous and learn to, deal with it.
So what's Joe Christie's next goal musically?
So the family and I have decided to move back to Texas. I'm in because I live in Colorado Springs right now. So we've decided to move back, and the goal is to keep writing, record at least 5 songs next year, and put a band together when I get to Texas. And we've actually decided to move to New Braunfels. It's more in the central area of Texas, so that I can go play anywhere I want in Texas. And yeah, just and my ultimate goal is to play in front of 20,000 people.
All right.
I like that
I think it
goal.
was Kathy Mattea that began a song with the U-Haul's Been Loaded.
Yeah,
You might have a moving song in there.
absolutely.
All right. Well, I think it's probably time to wrap things up. Joe, thank you again so much
Thank you for having me. It's been an
time.
honor.
It was great jamming with you over at Hero Stock this year. It was wonderful having you with Jason Steiner earlier this year and tonight. Thank you for just being honest and revealing about your songwriting and your playing guitar and what it was like growing up, through your youth and
Yeah,
on and on. It was really wonderful.
Yeah,
So,
you're sharing your gifts this way is very special, Joe. We appreciate it.
thank you. I appreciate you.
and for everyone who's on here, if you'd like to hang around, and Joe, if you don't mind, stick
Sure.
around. And we usually have our farewell, you know, and, with the people who join us, just to ask you some questions in case they do. But
Sure.
thank you all for watching Song Sung True, a Veteran's View. We hope you've enjoyed our conversation with Joe Allen Christi. Be sure to check out our other episodes of Song Sung True, a Veteran's View, including my conversations with Scotty Hastings, Jesse Freeward, Gamble Alexander, Jason Steiner, John Hensley, Casey Cameron, Malachias Gaskin, Rachel Harvey Hill, Shannon Book, and Tim Egan Jr. And if you're interested in learning more about songwriting, join us on Wednesday, December 4th at the G4V Learning Center of CAVARTS, where we welcome back Rachel Hill. She's going to share her experiences with songwriting. Go to cavarts.org, where there's no cost for veterans to join our community. For Paul Lilly and for Joe Allen Christi, for Guitars for Vets and Cavarts, I'm Tom Lamog. Thanks for watching.